All right, let's dive right in. If you're mapping out your company's AI strategy, you are staring down one of the biggest, most important decisions in tech right now. Which cloud platform are you going to build on? Seriously, this choice is going to shape your capabilities, your budget, and how your team works for years. So let's break down how to get this right. And let's be real for a second. It feels like an impossible choice, doesn't it? As one analysis put it, this is the $50,000 question that somehow gets lost in all the marketing noise. Every single cloud provider is screaming that they're the best for AI, and if you look at their websites, they all start to look and sound exactly the same. So how in the world do you cut through all that?
So here's the classic scenario, right? Your CTO walks over and says, I need a decision by Friday. And you're looking at the big three, Amazon SageMaker, Microsoft Azure AI, and Google's Vertex AI. They're all promising to completely change your life with powerful machine learning, but they make it unbelievably hard to see what actually makes them different.
This is the exact spot where most teams just get stuck. It is a textbook case of choice paralysis. I mean, when every platform seems to have the same stuff, AutoML, MLOps pipelines, easy model deployment, you just end up spinning your wheels. But the right choice is hiding in the details, and that's what we're going to unpack today.
Okay, so let's just cut right to the chase. I'm not going to bury the lead here. This single most important piece of advice is actually way simpler than you'd think, and it all starts by looking at what you're already using. And here it is, the 80% rule. For the vast majority of you out there, about 80% of this decision is frankly already made. It's dictated by your existing cloud infrastructure. If all your data is already sitting in AWS S3, or your entire team is certified in Azure, or your whole analytics world runs on Google Cloud, well, that's your answer right there. That's your starting point. And this 80% rule is all about being practical. Trying to fight against your current ecosystem, that just creates a ton of friction. You're suddenly looking at huge migration costs just to move data around. You're creating massive operational headaches, forcing your team to juggle multiple cloud environments. And you're basically throwing away all the expertise your team already has, forcing them into a long, expensive retraining process. Trust me, the path of least resistance is usually the smartest one. Okay, so if your ecosystem pretty much handles 80% of the choice, what about that other 20%? Now that's where it gets interesting. This is where the specific strengths and, the weaknesses of each platform really come into play. This is where you fine-tune your decision based on your exact use case, your team skills, and of course, your budget. Before we jump into the AI tools themselves, let's just get a lay of the land. According to Statista, as of late 2024, AWS is the undisputed king of the hill in the overall cloud market, followed by Azure and then Google Cloud. And this scale really matters, It means bigger communities, more third-party tools, and way more documentation when you get stuck. So you can see here that each platform kind of has its own personality. AWS SageMaker is the oldest of the bunch, and it's really built for organizations that live and breathe AWS and need super detailed control for complex MLOps. Then you have Azure ML, which is just a no-brainer for Microsoft shops. It really shines with its visual drag-and-drop designer tool. And finally, Google's Vertex AI, the newest player, leans heavily into its data roots with this incredible native integration with BigQuery, making it an absolute beast for analytics and NLP. A great way to think about them is by giving them personalities. SageMaker, it's the enterprise workhorse. It's bulletproof, it's comprehensive, and you can throw pretty much any production-scale system at it. It has over 60 instance types for crying out loud. Vertex AI, on the other hand, is the modern contender. A lot of people think it has the cleanest, slickest UI, and it gives you direct access to Google's latest and greatest AI research, like the Gemini models. And that brings us to Azure ML, which you can think of as the great integrator. Its superpower is how seamlessly it plugs into the entire Microsoft universe, everything from Office 365 to Power BI. It does this brilliant job of bridging the gap between easy-to-use, no-code tools for the business folks and the serious code-first environments that data scientists need. Now for everyone's favorite topic, cost. Let's be very clear. The price you see on a pricing page is just the tip of the iceberg. To really understand the true cost, you have to dig into how they charge you, what discounts you can get, and where all those sneaky hidden fees are hiding. And this table just perfectly shows how different the bills can be. Let's take a simple scenario from Arctic Sledge. You train a model for 150 hours, and then you run it for a month. Now, look. The training costs are all pretty close, right? But check out the inference costs. That's the cost to actually use your model to make predictions. In this specific example, Azure is way higher, while AWS is the cheapest for this particular job. So what's the lesson here? You absolutely have to model your specific workload. Of course, at scale, nobody pays the list price. All these providers will give you huge discounts if you commit to them. AWS has two main flavors: savings plans for when you need flexibility, and reserved instances for when you know exactly what you need and want the biggest discount. Azure and Google have pretty much the same deals, just with different names, reservations, and committed use discounts. The bottom line is simple: forecast your usage and lock in those savings. But, and this is a big but, this is where you have to be so careful. The cloud bill is infamous for its little surprises. Data egress, that's what it costs to move your data out of their cloud, can be a killer. But you also have to pay for storing your models, for monitoring services, for making millions of API calls, and for those premium support plans. I'm telling you, this stuff can easily double your bill if you're not paying close attention. So while AWS, Azure, and Google get all the headlines, it's a huge mistake to think it's only a three-horse race. There are a couple of giants, Oracle and IBM, who have carved out some really powerful niches where they actually have some big advantages over the main three. So when should you look beyond the big three? Well, if raw price for performance is your #1 goal, Oracle Cloud, or OCI, is a super aggressive competitor. This is especially true if you're already an Oracle database customer. On the other hand, if you're in a heavily regulated field like finance or healthcare, or you absolutely need a rock-solid hybrid cloud solution, then IBM is a major contender. Their deep ties with Red Hat, OpenShift, and their laser focus on security and compliance are huge selling points. Okay. We've covered a ton of ground. We've talked about the 80% rule, the big three, the challengers, and the wild world of pricing. So let's pull all of this together into a clear, strategic framework that you can actually use to make the final call. Here it is, a simple 4-point plan to guide you. 1. Start with your infrastructure. Acknowledge that 80% rule we talked about. 2. Look at your team's expertise. The best platform is the one your team can actually use on day 1. 3. Get super specific about your use case. Are you doing complex MLOps where AWS wins, or do you need visual workflows where Azure is king? And 4. Run the numbers. Model your real budget with discounts and all those hidden costs. Follow these 4 steps in this order, and you'll end up with a smart, defensible choice. And that just leaves us with one final, crucial thought. As you make this decision, you have to ask yourself this one question. Are you picking a platform out of habit, just because it's what you know? Or are you making a choice that is truly strategically aligned with where your company needs to go? Because in the world of AI, that distinction, well, that's going to make all the difference.